Accountability is sacrifice. Now, it might seem obvious on paper for having to take accountability for something, meaning that you have to do something or that you are obligated to say that you did something. But more often than not, people fail to realize that accountability is a strong and meaningful sacrifice that more often than not requires you to put yourself in a less favorable situation or a situation where you feel uncomfortable in order to say that you actually did something, especially something that you want to be proud of. So let's think about it like this. When it comes to accountability, it's you saying that you did something and taking account of the fact that you actually did. And a lot of people will constantly tell you to take accountability for things, especially if there's ever a situation where you might be in the wrong for something, or like something bad has happened between you and another person. You might hear another person tell you take accountability for it. And on paper, it seems simple because as far as like what it seems like you have to do, you basically just have to say I did that thing and it was completely on me. But in reality, what a lot of people fail to realize is that accountability is usually asking you to sacrifice something about yourself. And more often than not, it can sometimes be dignity. Let's say you get into a situation with your friend and you get into an argument over the fact that you purposely started hanging out with someone that they have already expressed that they don't like and has done something mean to them. Now, there's obviously a lot of factors that go into who you decide to choose as your friends, and it's not always as linear as choosing not to associate with people based on what other people think. But for this situation, we're just going to say that you hung out with someone that your friend has clearly expressed that they don't like at all and wouldn't like for you to hang out with. And so when you argue, that person wants you to take accountability. And sure, you can easily say, yeah, I hung out with that person. I know what I did. But the sacrifice here that you're having to take is that you're having to lose some dignity and respect. Because as far as dignity, you knowingly went behind your friend's back to hang out with someone else after they've already expressed how much they dislike this person. And for respect, you're losing the respect of the friend that you chose not to hang out with because you hung out with someone else, and so that worsens the relationship. And sacrifice can come in the form of many things, but more often than not, you have to give up something, mostly in an uncomfortable and negative way, in order to say that you actually did something. Another example of taking accountability is taking accountability for yourself. Taking accountability for yourself is basically the same thing as putting yourself first. But the way you go about taking accountability, as well as putting yourself first, is difficult because more often than not, you have to do things that you wouldn't normally do or are oriented only towards you and your own benefit, and it could possibly lead to the unhappiness of other people. Again, accountability is sacrifice. So you might have to sacrifice other people's interests, relationships, or things that you have going for yourself to set yourself up the best way you can. And that's not something we like to come to terms with often, because who would want to knowingly sacrifice good things about themselves, things that they care about, in order to do something else? But another thing I want to remind you of is that more often than not, when you take accountability for something, it's not always something that you can be proud of for, but you can be proud of the fact that you said that you did it, and that you're actively trying to correct your mistakes as to why you might have done it. I'd like to clearly give you an example with cheaters and relationships. Cheaters are some of the worst people on the planet. That's a general consensus between all people. But take two cheaters. You have one cheater on the hand that denies constantly that they never cheated and tries to trick other people into thinking that they're the victim, or whatever it is might be in their case. And you have the second person who has cheated but knowingly admits that they did and says to everyone else it doesn't bother trying to hide that fact. In both cases, obviously, both of these people are bad. Like, What they did is bad. There's no justifying what they did. But the difference between this first person and the second person is that the first person is digging themselves deeper into a hole that they will eventually not be able to escape from. Because that person is a cheater, but they're continuing to double down on the fact that they're not, until more and more people will eventually not start to trust them, and that person will just be regarded as a bad person. But with the other person, this person has knowingly done something wrong, and they admitted they did it. They might not be forgiven right away, and it might not be something that they ever get forgiven for, but the difference between these two people is that this person is saying what they did wrong, knows what they did wrong, and is trying to improve on it to make themselves better for it. And no matter how despicable the thing is that this other person did, we can at least say that as a human being, they are making an effort to try and correct what they did. And that's the thing. Humans are always messing up. Humans have so many imperfections, and we always trip up over a lot of things. It is impossible for us to be morally good 100% of the time, no matter how much we try. Actions that we might even think are just naturally good may be received negatively or unwell by other people. And so we can't always curate ourselves in a way that we always display that 100% moral goodness 24/7. But what we can do in the face of that is admit our shortcomings, sacrifice the feelings of being comfortable, make an effort to improve no matter what our mistakes are. When you think about taking accountability, know that you will have to sacrifice something. But in that sacrifice, you have become a stronger human being, a person that other people think deserve respect, and a person that can navigate through life, not tripping over every single one of their mistakes. Take accountability and make sacrifices.